Hey friends, now it's the time we're going to focus on Microsoft Agent Framework. Yes, this is one of the newest things which happen in agentic development. And this one framework is basically going to allow you to develop agents with code, as well as it's actually going to help you to make sure that your code is something which is not going to require to change even if you change your language models or even if you are going to use multiple tools. Yes, this associate with Microsoft Foundry, which is a new name of Azure AI Foundry now, and this also works with MCP servers. This one framework is basically that particular part which every developer has to understand if they want to develop agents with various language models, as well as which can work with various tools which are associated with your agents. So without wasting time, let's get started with what exactly Microsoft Agent Framework is and how we can develop agents with this. Now, before I start this particular video course, let me tell you one thing. This one is going to have certain prerequisites which are connected with this. Obviously, I'm assuming that you have a basic knowledge of Python because we are going to develop all the agents with the Python programming language. So I hope you already have a basic knowledge of Python because that's going to be required. Second thing is, I request you to please install Visual Studio Code with the latest version of pip, because that's going to help you to install Microsoft Agent Framework and other dependencies for your project code. Third thing is you need to have Azure CLI, which is basically allows you to execute the Azure commands in your local development environment. And fourth one is you need an active Azure subscription. I hope you have an active Azure subscription using which you can actually configure your Azure AI Foundry projects, and then you can utilize agents associations with that. The last but important thing is I am assuming that you have a fundamental knowledge of Azure Cloud and AI, which is associated with Azure AI services. Well, if you do not have the last one, well, you can go through our YouTube channel, which is skilltech.club, and you'll get a lot of videos which I have created for learning fundamentals of Azure as well as AI. And you can start with that. But if you already have a fundamental knowledge and you just want to develop agents with modern technologies, well, then let's get started with Microsoft Agent Framework. Before I start anything about Microsoft Agent Framework, there is one obvious question which I'm sure it's there in every viewer's mind is why another agent framework? We have so many agent SDKs and agent development frameworks which are available in the market. Even Microsoft has created certain things like semantic kernel, AutoGen in the past. And we also have Azure AI Foundry SDK. Now, if you have all these SDKs and frameworks already available, why exactly you're creating a new framework? That's one of the important questions which I was also having when I saw the announcement of Microsoft Agent Framework, which just happened last month. Now, let me tell you one thing first, that this new framework is actually that particular roadmap path which Microsoft is going to follow for next 1 year. Yes, if you have not attended the last build, which has just happened before 3 days, then Microsoft has announced that all the agentic AI development is going to happen on Microsoft Foundry and Microsoft Agent Framework. So these are the two things which are going to be there in the down the line for next 1 year roadmap. And it just started last month. So there are chances, there are certain things which are still in preview, but I will make sure that I'm going to give you step-by-step code samples and examples where you can understand and you can implement this thing for your end-to-end business solutions. So if your question is why this another framework is there, let me share some insights with you first. Semantic kernel and AutoGen, which were the two successful research products initially, and then it was used by multiple clients, is now pioneered the concept of AI agents and multi-agent orchestration. So this particular framework is actually perfect for those who already know certain things about AutoGen and semantic kernel, and is also going to be a perfect for those who are starting agentic development now. And they don't need to learn semantic kernel, they don't need to learn AutoGen. These two things are already combined into Microsoft Agent Framework. So Microsoft Agent Framework is, as it is mentioned here, it's a direct successor created by the same team, and it combines AutoGen's simple abstraction of a single and multi-agent pattern with semantic kernel's enterprise-grade feature such as thread-based state management, type safety, filters, telemetry, and extensive model and embedding support. Now, these are the advantages of AutoGen and semantic kernel. And now they have taken best of both the worlds. So they have taken all the advantages of semantic kernel and AutoGen and they combine into one. Not only that, they have added few more additional features on top of it, which is basically perfect for the recent development of agentic AI. Beyond merging the two, the agent framework introduced workflows that gives developers explicit control over multi-agent execution path. We are going to see in this video series that how we can create multi-agents with Microsoft Agent Framework. Not only that, there are different workflows and orchestrations which are now introduced, which are basically going to solve that confusion that how exactly I can execute multi-agent workflows. And as well as it's helping you to do a long running executions of agents, human in the loop scenario where a human intervention is going to be coming into the picture when your multiple agents are not able to solve the scenario. Well, I'm very excited about all these concepts, and I'm sure you too. In short, agent framework is the next generation for both semantic kernel and autogen. There are high chances that after a few months, people who are developing AI agents with Microsoft technologies, they're not even going to heard about the words like autogen and semantic kernel because Microsoft Agent Framework is going to replace all of those things. That's why we need to understand this thing first. So what exactly is Microsoft Agent Framework? Yes, it's a successor of semantic kernel and autogen, but if I'm not knowing semantic kernel, if I don't know what is autogen, then what this is for me? Well, this is a platform for generative AI development. That's what you can see in one line. And this platform is going to give you multiple features, like it gives you AI service connectors so that you can connect the code to AI services from different providers under a common interface. Now, it's not important that which provider you are associated with and which AI service you want to use. You want to use computer vision services, language services, or maybe you want to use speech services. You can associate with different AI service providers and you can use those AI services. It supports service which includes chat completion, text generation, and many more. And you can use OpenAI models or some other models as well. It has something which is called memory connectors, which expose vector stores from other providers under a common interface. It has something which is prompt templates, which combines instructions, user input, and functions output into a reusable format. Basically, you don't need to learn prompt engineering anymore. These prompt templates are going to help you to structurize your basic templating with your prompts and with your agents, and then this prompt template will allow your AI models to execute predefined steps dynamically, and you don't need to take a pain of that. Next, we have functions and plugins. Now, this was actually that same feature which is copied from semantic kernel, where you are able to create some reusable plugins which work as a plug and play with your multiple agents. So basically, you have containers for functions that are registered with the kernel, which was actually earlier known as semantic kernel. Once registered, the function can be invoked by AI or through prompt templates. Basically, that piece of code, which you call function or plugin, is going to be reusable and is going to be accessed by multiple agents or services with that. Last but important one is filters, which actually allows custom actions to be performed before and after functions or prompt is invoked. So basically, it's working like a trigger. And if you want to do some pre or post kind of an executions before that particular function, filters are basically going to take care of that. Ultimately, Microsoft Agent Framework is an extension to the core semantic kernel platform with the support for multiple kinds of agents. Yes, it supports multiple type of agents, including Azure AI Foundry agents. Now, what are the other types? I'm going to show you that thing in my coming slides in the same video. But Azure AI Foundry agents are included in this, and our focus of this particular course will be developing agents with Azure AI Foundry. So that's where I'm actually more interested. Now, if you have a question, why should I use Microsoft Agent Framework? There are so many frameworks which are available from third party. There are some of the frameworks which are actually allowing you to create agents in a much more easier way. And forget about this. We also have Copilot Studio, where it's a low code, no code kind of a platform where you can develop agents and you can extend it with Copilot. Then also, why should I use Microsoft Agent Framework? Well, if that is your question, let me tell you one thing first, that Azure AI Agent Service, which is the main part of Azure AI Foundry, or now the new name of this is Microsoft Foundry, provides a comprehensive platform for agent development. So why you're going to use Microsoft Agent Framework still? Because it is extending existing investment in semantic kernel development to Azure AI agents, which simply means that any of the developers who has already created agents using semantic kernel or autogen, for them, this is going to be a direct migration happening into the Microsoft Agent Framework. Also, it allows you to build solutions that leverage strength of different kinds of agents with a consistent code base. That's one of the biggest plus points. You do not need to change the code again and again whenever the new language model versions are actually launching, whenever new frameworks or new services are getting launched. You don't need to rewrite your code of your agent. That is something which is the biggest plus point, because in every stable enterprise solution, we want to make sure that because AI is changing very quickly, we do not want to change each and every line of code every month, because if we do that thing, then we are going to endlessly go into that loop of again continuously working on the agents again and again. If you want to avoid that loop, Microsoft Agent Framework is a solution. And then you will be able to migrate to a unified platform for agent development, which is basically going to be, as I said, a long-term roadmap path for at least next 1 year or more than that. Now, with Microsoft Agent Framework, Microsoft is giving you something which is Microsoft Agent Framework SDK. This is an open source tool for building and orchestrating complex systems for collaborating AI agents. Yes, mostly it is designed to deal with multi-agent kind of orchestrations, and that will be the main part of this particular course. But initially, we are going to focus on how we can build agents, how we can associate with them, how we can connect agents with the vector databases, or how we can take care of certain scenarios where human is coming into the picture, and then it's going to take some actions based on that. So we are going to see all these concepts step by step in this full video course. But yes, that is what which is there. It's a part and combination of semantic kernel and autogen, which we already mentioned. One thing which I want to highlight here is this, that Agent Framework offers two primary categories of capabilities. So if you ask me what exactly this is doing, it's giving me so many features, but from the bird's eye view, it's actually providing two things. First, it's giving you AI agents, which are basically individual agents that can use different large language models, which are available in your model catalog of your Microsoft Foundry. And as of now, I think more than 11,000 plus models are available in that. To process user input, it can call tools and MCP servers to perform actions, and then it can generate responses. Basically, whatever your modern agent can do, it can do all those things. Your agent supports model providers, including Azure OpenAI or OpenAI and Azure AI. And basically, your Microsoft Foundry is having model catalog, and that model catalog models can also be associated with Agent Framework. In the workflow section, we have a second capability available here, which is basically allowing you to create a graph-based workflows that connect to multiple agents and functions to perform complex multi-step tasks. Workflow supports type-based routing, nesting, checkpointing, and request response pattern for a human in the loop kind of a scenario. Now, these all things we are going to understand when we see the orchestration patterns with multi-agent workflows. And that's going to be a very important part of this particular series. Now, unfortunately, maybe all of these courses and videos will not be available on YouTube and Udemy, because these courses are really lengthy and complex. So you can check out our website, which is skilltech.club, and that website is basically going to give you the full course. Otherwise, at other places, we are not having a privilege to add the whole course inside that. So we are actually having limited amount of videos inside that. Now, keeping this in mind, let's move forward to Microsoft Agent Framework SDK important features. Now, this has built-in tools and protocols like MCP protocol. So it totally supports model context protocol. It allows agents to dynamically discover and use external tools and data servers, which is basically a very popular feature of MCP, which is known as dynamic tool discovery. Yes. And this is internally compatible with directly Microsoft Agent Framework. You have something which is called agent to agent. This is basically a communication. So it provides a structured messaging protocol for agents to collaborate with each other and even across different runtimes. Think about this. You have multiple agents, but in order to complete certain process, in order to organize those agents in a sequential or a concurrent execution, you have to make sure that how your agents are going to communicate and coordinate with each other. A2A, or basically agent to agent, is providing an agent to agent communication mechanism in that. And then last one is, this is Open API first design. Basically, it enables agents to use any REST API by importing its Open API specification as a callable tool. Now, whenever I work with my most of the corporate clients, they have a one basic simple requirement. And they ask me this question. They say that, Maruti, do I need to develop an agent from scratch? Can't I use my existing APIs which I have created from my microservices or distributed kind of project, or maybe some traditional REST-based APIs? Answer is yes, you can do that. Microsoft Agent Framework is going to provide a way by which you can call your existing APIs as a tool, and that will be associated with your agent. and your agent is dynamically capable enough to call those APIs. That's a really amazing thing, which is going to save thousands of hours of work, or maybe I can say thousands of hours of rework on the existing APIs. So if you are working professional, you're a developer, you already know that in your project you have hundreds of APIs which are already developed. Don't worry, you don't need to rewrite them. Those APIs can also be associated with your agents, because Microsoft Agent Framework SDK is focusing on open API first design, which is basically allowing you to use your all existing APIs in one shot into your Microsoft agents. Last but important point to note, some people assume that Microsoft Agent Framework is only for Azure AI Foundry agents. Well, that's not true. Microsoft Agent Framework supports several different types of agents from multiple providers, and this list is going to grow in future because it's just launched last month. As of now, we have 4 different types of agents which I'm highlighting here, but this list is going to grow and is basically planning to support multiple types of agents from multiple providers. Like, first and obvious, we have Azure AI Foundry agent. So whichever agent you have developed with Microsoft Azure AI Foundry, you will be able to use them. So basically, it's totally connected with that. What is Azure AI Foundry agent? Well, it's a specialized agent within Microsoft Agent Framework designed to provide enterprise-grade conversational capabilities with tool integrations. It automatically handles tool calling, which is basically a dynamic tool calling which is happening. It securely manages conversation history using something which is known as thread, and then it reduces the overhead of maintaining the state. So basically, state management is also something which is taken care of. Azure AI Foundry Agent supports built-in tools and provide integration capabilities with existing Azure services like Azure AI Search, Azure Functions, and other Azure services. Now, this makes the Azure AI Foundry Agent the first choice for most people who are developing agents with Microsoft Agent Framework. But other than that, you also have Chat Agent, which are basically traditionally known as chat bots, which is designed for general conversation and task completion interface. The chat agent type provides a natural language processing, contextual understanding, and dialogue management with support for custom tools and instructions. So that's also something which is another type which is available. You have OpenAI Assistant Agent. So if you have designed some existing agents with your OpenAI APIs, then this is designed for advanced capabilities using OpenAI's Assistant API. This agent type supports goal-driven interactions with features like code interpretation and file search through OpenAI platform. And the last one, Anthropic. I hope you know Anthropic is a very famous company. This company is the one who has given you MCP, Model Context Protocol, and this is the company behind Claude models. Now, Anthropic agents are also available with Microsoft Agent Framework and supported with that. So it provides access to Anthropic's Claude models with the framework's unified interface, supporting advanced reasoning and conversational capabilities. And as I said, this is just a beginning. Microsoft Agent Framework will be one centralized framework for developing agents. So, before a few years, when you know that if you want to develop a .NET based framework based application, .NET is one centralized framework which allows you to develop applications of different types. Same way, if you want to develop any agents, Microsoft Agent Framework will be that centralized framework which allows you to develop agents of your choice from different providers, from multiple models. And the good thing is, if your models are getting changed and updated, if your providers are changing the APIs and other configurations, or if you're trying to associate with external tools and your tools are also getting added or removed and updated, you don't need to rewrite a code of your agent. That's basically going to be one of the biggest plus point, and that's why this framework is actually combining all these advantages which are making this framework enterprise ready. Remember, this framework is not for someone who is novice. This is not for someone who's actually not familiar with agentic development or not familiar with the Python code and all. But yes, if you're a professional developer, if you're working for enterprise, if you want more secure, robust, and scalable system with multi-agent kind of scenario, then this is a framework for you, which you should not miss. With this, without wasting much time in a conceptual thing, I want you to check out my next video in which I'm actually going to use Microsoft Agent Framework, and I'm going to establish a step-by-step agentic development path with that. So we are going to develop multiple agents in this series. This series is basically having more practical, less concept kind of thing. But yes, with every step, I'm going to add concept and I'm going to add on the practical lab associated with that. So Without wasting time, let's move forward to the agentic development using Microsoft Agent Framework. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.